Welcome back, Entourage. I am so excited about today's video. It's gonna be the most controversial video maybe I've ever made. I tell you, I'm either gonna look like a genius or a complete idiot, and that's fine with me. I'm gonna get a lot of hate, and I can't wait. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. You don't wanna miss any of this juicy stuff. Well, guys, let's get into it. My top ranked running backs. Well, guys, I don't think it's a surprise who's going to be number one, and that's Saquon Barkely. Anybody that knows me knows I love me some Saquon because he's the most talented running back ever. Why wouldn't you want to pick the most talented running back ever? The guy's work ethic, his size, his speed, his ability to catch the ball, to run routes like a receiver, he is completely unstoppable. Even with that bad offensive line, he killed it last year. And the offensive line, surprisingly, only got a little bit better. You know, they added, Kevin Zeitler from the Cleveland Browns, one of the better guards in the game. And just by default, Saquon is a year older. He's familiar with the system. I just think the sky is the limit for Saquon. He could break records, and I want that guy on my team. Remember, guys, talent over everything. I don't care if the Giants' offense is not that good. I don't care about Eli Manning. Yes, when OBJ left, his points went down. Okay, he averaged 19 points a game without OBJ. That's fine, guys. I'll take that guarantee, 19 to 20, and I think it'll be a lot higher from Saquon Barkley. So, guys, get Saquon with confidence, or else you'll be regretting it. I promise. Now, this is where the controversy starts. My number 2 pick. This is where the hate's gonna be flooding in. Nick Chubb, guys. I mean, those who have been following me, I guess you can't be too surprised. I've been talking about this guy more than any player in the National Football League, and that was before they traded Duke Johnson. I mean, I have a borderline obsession because this guy, if not for Saquon, he will be talked about, you know, as the best talent in the National Football League, guys. His metrics are through the roof. He's 230. He runs a 4.5 and very underrated pass catcher, which Cleveland said they're going to use him more as this year, especially now. Remember, there's no Duke Johnson. And Kareem Hunt, guys, he's not going to be back for at least week 10. 8-game suspension plus the bye. That's 9 weeks. The earliest he could come back is week 10. Who's to say he's going to be ready? He's not going to be able to practice until the 8-game suspension is served. So he might not even be ready to week 11, week 12. And by then, who cares? You're not going to take this all-pro running back, which I believe Nick Chubb will be, and replace him, you know, with somebody else that hasn't played the whole year. Yes, Kareem Hunt, he'll have a role. Maybe he'll get 30% of the snaps. It doesn't matter. Good. Keep Nick Chubb fresh. But I believe Nick Chubb will lead the league, possibly in rushing, definitely rushing touchdowns. He averaged over 5 yards a carry last season, and that was without OBJ, and they were stacking the box. He had the 4th most 8-man fronts. They can't do that no more, guys. And Cleveland Browns are going to live in the red zone, and Nick Chubb will live in the end zone. And that's why I have him above guys like Kamara and CMC, who are not going to score a lot of touchdowns because that's not what their teams do. They're going to be great, you know, pass catchers, but they're not going to score as many touchdowns, especially Kamara. We'll get to him in a minute. Third on this list, more controversy, guys. If there's another running back that I've talked about almost as much as Nick Chubb, that's Joe Mixon, guys. Joe Mixon, I love players that are on the uprise, that are ascending. This guy averaged 4.9 yards a carry behind a terrible offensive line. Now you bring in Zach Taylor. Yes, that offensive line's still terrible, but the situation has improved because Zach Taylor is coming from that McVay family tree. You know, he's going to bring that Rams-type offense. That's why I love Tyler Boyd, who's playing that Cooper Kupp role in the slot. Then you got Joe Mixon, who's a great pass catcher, had 43 receptions last season. Guess how many receptions Gurley had before McVay came? 43. And then he jumped to like 60-something and doubled his yards. I see a similar ascension to Joe Mixon, and I absolutely love him because he's one of the few guys that can play all 3 downs. He has the size, 6'1". He's basically a Gurley clone. He has the same frame as Gurley, can pass catch like Gurley, and unlike CMC and Alvin Kamara, he'll have double-digit touchdowns. They're not going to replace him in the goal line. So I absolutely love Joe Mixon. And he's got the best value out of all these guys because now he slipped for some reason. He's slipping into like the mid-second, low second. He should be, at minimum, a low first-round pick. So whoever gets Joe Mixon is getting an absolute steal. That's my 3 spot. Now, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised here. CMC at my 4 spot, just based on pure volume alone. I mean, the guy broke the record for receptions for a running back last year, had over 100 at the running back position. Like I said, the only reason he's not higher is because I don't think he's going to be much of a, I mean, he didn't have many rushing touchdowns last year. They like to use Cam, and they already said North Turner. They want to use, another goal line back. So it's just hard to repeat what CMC did last year. And that's why I only dropped him a couple of spots. Not like I've dropped him that much because he does have huge upside, averaging over 25 points a game last season. So if you could get CMC at the 4 spot, he'll probably be going anywhere from 1 through 4. You've got to be ecstatic. Great start to your team. And that's why I have him at number 4. Number 5. More controversy, guys. I know you're probably thinking, it's got to be Kamara, right? Well, if not Kamara, it's got to be Zeke, right? Nope. This is probably my most controversial pick besides the last 2 picks or the 2nd and 3rd pick. I got David Montgomery. Yeah, call me crazy. Call me crazy. I got David Montgomery, and here's why, guys. Kareem Hunt, as a rookie 2 years ago under Matt Nagy, was the 4th best running back in PPR. I think David Montgomery's better. Tariq Cohen, guys, scat back. They were mixing and wear in 2017. It doesn't matter. They already said they want to limit his touches. David Montgomery has some of the best balance, vision, ability to break tackles. And this big guy is a pass catcher, which is what Nagy needs. There is a reason they traded up into the 3rd round to get this perfect running back for Nagy's system, guys. Forget the Tariq Cohen stuff. That stuff is irrelevant. Even with that, Jordan Howard still had like 250 carries, even though Kareem Hunt or Tariq Cohen was the guy. 11th best running back in PPR. For a scat back. So think about this. If Chicago's leading running back last year was Tariq Cohen, he was number 11, and he was just a scat back, kind of like that secret weapon. What do you think a full 3-down workhorse is gonna be? If Kareem Hunt is the ceiling, which I think Montgomery could be better, that's 4. And then Tariq Cohen's the floor because he was just a part-time scat back. He was 11. See where I'm going with this? So I think 5, he could get that easily. And he's safe. He's durable. There's never been a question about his health. Yes, he's new to the NFL, but even in college, guys like Leonard Fournette, Gurley, they had injury problems in college. So very few 3-down workhorses. Montgomery will be one, and that's why he earns that number 5 spot. Because, again, he's going to get more volume than Kamara, and he's not one-dimensional like Kamara because Kamara is not that good rushing the football. He's good, but he doesn't get a lot of carries. And that 14 touchdowns, those 14 rushing touchdowns, that's going to be going down this year. I promise you, because 5 of those came within the first 4 weeks when Ingram was suspended 4 games for PEDs. But with all that said, Kamara's my number 6 spot. So I do love Kamara, don't get me wrong. I just love these other guys more because they could do similarly what Kamara could do, but they're better rushing the football and they're going to get more touchdowns. That 14 touchdowns is not going to happen. Now, I do think he can get more receptions, even though he had like 81 his first year, 82 his next year, and he had like 800 yards receiving. So you see the consistency. He was number 4 his rookie year, number 4 last year. So he's very safe. That's the thing I love about Kamara, is he is super, super safe. So anyone that wants to draft Kamara in the top 4, top 2, top 1, I got no problem with that because, again, I preach going safe when it comes to, your first, at least your first couple of rounds. So absolutely love Kamara's in the perfect system, PPR monster. The only reason I have those other guys, like I said, I think they're going to get more overall volume if you include the rushing yards and the touchdowns. But can't go wrong, like I said, with Alvin Kamara. Now, the next guy on my list, is Ezekiel Elliot. I know you're probably wondering what took so long, but guys, when it comes to the first couple of rounds and that top guy to anchor my running backs, I need some security. You know, he's got a lot of red flags. Obviously the holdout, so he's technically not playing. And then, you know, he's coming off a 300 carry season. There's only been one player in the last 20 years that actually improved from a 300 carry season, and that's Marshawn Marshawn Beast Mode Lynch. Everyone else has decreased in production and significantly, like some have fallen off the cliff. Now, I don't think that's going to happen to Zeke because, again, he's got a really good offensive line. He's also really young. Some of these other guys were older, but still, it is something to be said, statistically speaking, that this many running backs have not been able to crack the 300 carry curse. Now he's in Cabo, which isn't exactly, you know, the place people go to focus on their football career. It's actually a party place, it's a tourist place, and you're putting somebody that obviously has a party history like Zeke. It's not the same as training camp or, you know, participating in preseason, however limited that might be. And they also said they want to use Tony Pollard. Maybe they'll use him as their secret weapon in passing downs and third down situations, things like that. I don't think it's going to be, you know, anything significant to knock Zeke down. And again, it has more to do with the unknown. We're talking about a first round pick. For many people, that's a top 4 pick, top 5 pick is the latest we're seeing Zeke slip for the most part. I need some security. I do think he will ultimately sign with the Dallas Cowboys, but I still need to know for sure before I pick him amongst my top 5. So that's why my rankings are a little bit different than most guys. I include everything, whether I think this player is going to get injured, holdouts, you know, my own intuition, but there's a lot of red flags, you know, when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott. So it's not enough to knock him outside my top 10, but it is enough to knock him from top 4 to number 7. Okay, now, number 8. This guy I'm really, really high on. The only reason, you know, anybody would not be drafting this guy higher than what he's going right now, and I'm talking about Dalvin Cook, is because of the last 2 years have been limited by injury. His rookie season was cut short due to an ACL, and then he was hampered by the hamstring, which really has to do with the ACL. Those coaches did a bad job. I mean, they rushed him back, I felt, and they gave him so much workload, you know, trying to ease a player back, especially at the running back position from an ACL in week 1. He had like 4 touches in the first drive. Yeah, that ultimately pretty much doomed his season. But when he did come back towards the end of the season, from week 11 to 16, he was the number 9 running back. So he was a top 10 running back that you could get in the second round. And his situation also improved with them bringing in Gary Kubiak, who is like what Bruce Arians is to quarterbacks, Gary Kubiak is to running backs. So that zone blocking scheme, we saw him, you know, break a 75-yard touchdown run. And he's one of those few guys that can do everything from, you know, he's a tough runner, he's fast, he could catch the football, and he's got the perfect scheme. The only thing stopping Dalvin Cook from being a top 5 running back really is the injury. So make sure if you do select Dalvin Cook that you cuff him with Madison, but I absolutely love Cook's, you know, prospects this year. I think, you know, RB9 is his absolute floor. I think he'll be in that 5 to 7 range, and if you could get him in your second round, just like Mixon, that's a steal. All right, number 9, David Johnson. I'm not as high on him as a lot of other analysts. Face it, guys, David Johnson hasn't been the same, not only since the wrist injury, but since he is not under Bruce Arians' wing. So I'm not sure how Cliff Kingsbury is going to use David Johnson, but I would imagine his allure comes more as a pass catcher. And pass catching running backs have a lot to do with game flow, which that could be to his benefit, being that I expect Arizona to be in a lot of shootouts and down a lot. But still, I don't know if I trust David Johnson, 27. There hasn't been a running back, or at least last season, 26 or over the age of 26 to be in the top 15. He hasn't done it in 2 years. New coach, new system. I definitely don't like him better than, the 8 running backs that I mentioned before him, because I think they have just as much upside and I think they have a higher floor. What I do like about David Johnson is, other than that wrist injury, he's super durable, he's super safe, and that's very important to me. It's the only reason I have him over my next guy, who we'll get into in just a second, is because there's something to be said about somebody you can rely on. So even last year, he didn't have the best year. He was still the number 9 running back, and that's why I have him there right now. I think he should have a better season, but I also think there's going to be more competition, because we had guys like Dalvin Cook who were out for most of the year, and David Montgomery and Nick Chubb and all these other guys that, David Montgomery obviously being a rookie and Nick Chubb not becoming the starter till week 7. So that's why I had to keep David Johnson where he's at right now. Last but not least, in my top 10 running back list or rankings is Kerryon Johnson. Absolutely love Kerryon Johnson. Like Dalvin Cook, he's in a perfect situation. Detroit Lions have now Darrell Bevel as their offensive coordinator. This guy knows running the football. He's going to run the football. His offenses center around running the football. And Detroit has so many weapons, from Kenny Golladay to Marvin Jones outside. You got Amendola in the slot, TJ Hawkinson. Like, they have weapons galore. So it's going to be hard to stack the box. And Kerryon Johnson, he's one of maybe the top 5 most talented running backs if you combine size, speed, ability to catch the ball, and that was full on display. I don't know what Patricia was thinking last year, but when they gave Kerryon a chance, once Theo Reddick went down in an injury from week 7 to 11, when, before he got injured, Kerryon Johnson averaged 17 points per game. That's his floor. In my opinion, that's his floor, and that is top 10 running back production. The only reason I don't have him higher than DJ and maybe some of these other guys is because there is an injury risk. He's been injured in college. He was injured last year. What I do like about it, it's nothing that's torn, so that's a positive. But if this guy can play all 16 games, similar to Dalvin Cook, he could sneak up into that top 5 running back potential. Well, guys, I know it's controversial. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate, but that's why they play the game. And I'm looking forward to seeing the comments, and I'm looking forward to seeing who you guys like for your top 10. As always, guys, if you have any questions, comment down below. Let's talk. Let's debate. And if you haven't subbed already, please do so. And like this video. Even if you disagree, you got to admit, I made a good argument for these guys. All right, guys. Till next time.